Rule Zero, everybody. I'm your host, Paul Bauer, and joining me on the panel today. Oh, before we get into that, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't you know? Joining me on the panel, we have Jack Napier. What's going on, Jack?
I'm doing well, man. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. You know, hanging in there.
Can I ask what Jericho's list is? Ryan's here, by the way.
Yes. Jericho, the list of Jericho. I made the list of Chris Jericho. I'm going on the Jericho cruise this Wednesday. I'm going to sail from Miami to where the hell are we going? I can't remember. Dominican Republic. We're gonna.
Oh, nice. Oh, you're gonna visit Nuke's home country. Nice. Ryan's in the thing.
Oh, I see him now. He was off camera for a second there. But yeah, so I'm going to go watch a bunch of wrestlers and rock stars and comedians and podcasts for a week on the Chris Jericho cruise. So
is this band playing?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Have you ever heard Fozzy?
Yeah,
live?
Of course. Yeah, they're awesome. I've never seen them live, but I dig some of their stuff.
Yeah, I went. I brought Nurse Chick out to Denver one time. They had a concert out there. It was really fucking good show. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, his band's good. When Chris stopped writing the lyrics himself and he actually hired a professional songwriter, their music got way better for sure. So, and speaking of Kyle, introduce yourself. You're relatively new to the panel. We brought you on today for your political expertise. What's new? What's up with you?
Thanks, man. Well, yeah, my name's Kyle Matovik. I play for a band called A Common Crown. I also host a podcast called In Liberty and Health, where we talk about all things political, libertarian leaning, health and fitness, and beyond. I also do a show called 5 Till Midnight, which we just kind of talk crap, do cultural stuff, and occasionally host Post Zero. And I'm friends with most people on the panel and talk to them pretty frequently. So, yeah, looking forward to being a part of the conversation today.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Aaron Clary, what's new with you, man?
Corey Wayne says, according to his book, Corey Wayne says, I am doing good. Corey Wayne also says, according to his book, that he's very jealous of Jack Napier being excessively happy and smiling in a good mood. Corey Wayne worries. What does Jack Napier know that Aaron Clary does not? Corey Wayne.
Touche. Ryan Stone, what's going on with you, Ryan?
Oh, where do I even start, man? I've got so much stuff coming out that I have to prioritize what I'm plugging. 2 books, gonna be 3 in the next 3 months coming out. Which one do I prioritize? Which one do I talk about? New videos on all the channels coming out. Sneaking out to Vegas here in the spring to go see my boy and Clary.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not as big a
guys.
Warhammer fan as Rolo, so I'll probably be with you walking up the hill or whatever the hell you do all day.
Go parkouring with Cappy down the canyon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is no one excited about that? You were going to see beautiful aspects of the United States. You will see the Colorado River. You will get exercise. You will see vistas. It'll be a rewarding
See the
experience.
homeless in Vegas, too.
I'm from the least industrialized nation in North America. All we see is nature. I want to see some damn widgets.
All right.
I want to see I want to see a functional economy.
We'll go to the Switch factory then. You could go look at the Switch factory.
Yes. I would love to see that. Industrialization. Holy jeez. I'm like the bumpkin that came in from the farm to the big city. Oh, and then the guy, Ray is here. He's the one that did the art for Dog Walker, which is right here. He actually sent me individualized mugs based on the concept art as a super gift. So it's really sweet. I'm not sure yet if I want to keep them as keepsakes or offer them as in a contest for the 100th person to buy the book or whatever. And then I have a goal. I didn't realize this, but I do now that I've checked the numbers. Fuck Files is my most popular book of all of them, which is humbling because it's the one that's the most personal to me. They did 165 pre-sales. I want to get the Dog Walker past that. So I have 1 month to go from the 25 pre-sales now to at least 160. Make this one. I want it to be better than Jordan Peterson's book. I again, a second time to be able to throw it in that Canadian's face would just make me feel good.
Well, drop a link for it in the chat there. I think you have.
Will do.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, while he's dropping a link to his million fucking books that I'm never going to catch up to, I wanted to talk about some of these executive orders from President Trump. He came back into office and like hit the ground running, and he immediately signed like 1 billion executive orders. And I was like, man, this would be an interesting topic. I don't want to like really devolve into like, you know, a super political discussion. We really aren't a Daily Wire show. We are more of a red pill show. So I'll try to keep it down the middle, because Fair and Balanced is my middle name. Paul Fair and Balanced Bauer. So the first one on the list here is he reinstated the name Mount McKinley. What did they change? What did the liberals change the name
Denali.
to? Denali. Why
Yeah.
did they do that? Was it racist? Was it
It's the same. They did the same thing in South Dakota. There's a couple places where they've changed the name from whatever 1823 white guy happened to claim it to local, generally Native American name. So in Minneapolis, there's a lake called Lake Calhoun, and now they turned it to Bodiska Ma, which no one knows how to spell or pronounce. The tallest peak in the Black Hills in my backyard is Harney's Peak. They turned it to Black Elk. It's just left this changing flag. You know, Minnesota, they changed the flag, the state flag, to just an atrocious looking child drawing. That's what it is. This is little feathers in their caps, and so I think Trump is just saying no. If he really wanted to do it, he'd say no. You're going back to all the original names, unless there's a darn good reason to do it. Because they want to play petty politics. He could play petty politics in return, but that's basically what's happening.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Speaking of petty politics, what's up, Nuke?
Hey, what's up?
We hit the first one, which is kind of some of these are kind of cosmetic and sort of funny. Like the next one, right? Renaming Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, right?
I think I know if that's really real, but it's just like, let's see if they actually take it seriously, you know?
Yeah,
No,
I think it's kind of in spirits of like his 2016 campaign where he kind of won shit posting on Twitter. Let's be real here. And I think this is kind of in that spirit where it's like, hey, no, we're America, and we're going to say this isn't the Gulf of Mexico anymore. This is the Gulf of America. All right. This is Trump's America now again.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny. I was like, how does that work? You know, like, and I guess it's like, well, if you're the president, you can order the USGCS, the government organization that makes all the maps. Okay, we'll just rename it on the map for Americans, right? It doesn't mean like the rest of the world has to change their maps or whatever.
But it's tedious. Like I'm not that big of a fan of Trump, actually. I mean, I'll take him over Kamala any day. But this is the shit that I and many other people don't like about Trump. It's like, no, it's the Gulf of Mexico. It doesn't. It's the two executive orders he signed. He's contradicting himself. It's like, no, we're going to change it back to normal, but now I'm going to change the Gulf of Mexico to something new. And it is a pain in the ass to change all these signs. It really is. It's kind of just leave it be. And I like it going back to the old names, but doing something like that, yeah, okay, if I have a little bit of showmanship, but it's tedious and it looks immature.
Aaron, can I devil's advocate you? You don't mind?
By all means, okay.
I know it's out of character, but I had to ask. Being from Canada, I kind of see where he's coming with this. It's been happening everywhere, and I think it's more important. I think the symbols do matter. So, for example, our passport, and it's like, yeah, these are small examples, but there's thousands of them. Our passport used to have Canadian monuments like, CN Tower, historical stuff. It all got kind of replaced with like this bland, globalized, homogenous symbols. And I'm finding there's a lot of people who just want to take history out of everything. And it seems like, well, each individual example is like, it's not a big deal. It's kind of a pain. But I think taking it in its entirety, it kind of pushes people towards you don't see your history anymore in anything. And I think that's important, because all you have to do is look at Americans right now dealing with how Trump is making everybody else patriotic, feeling good about themselves, and Canada, the way we're dealing with it right now. Like our prime minister, his big thing, Trump's like, we're going to make it free again. We're going to take in Canada and you can't stop us. And what's Canada doing? Guys, boycott Heinz ketchup. That was our... And so, yeah, up here, I think that would be a great, it's like such an easy morale boost. Yeah, some bureaucrat somewhere has to fix a couple maps. Oh my God, he's got an extra bit of workload. He can complain about it then on his safe government job. Meanwhile, everybody else gets to feel proud about where they're from and reinforce that identity that, like, what does it even mean to be American? Because God knows right now, you guys, have you seen Twitter? What does it mean to be American? Oh, it's like talking about troons in 2016. That's how
I'm for going back to putting in the things the way they were, but the Gulf of Mexico, it's like, dude, it's always been the Gulf of Mexico, and and then what's going to happen? 4 years from now or 8 years from now, a Democrat gets in office. Some poor schmuck. There's some guy at the GIS. All his job is changing map names, and he's gonna be, it's the Democrats now. It's the Gulf of communist dicks.
Well, if he's smart, he's just gonna save the original file that has the old name.
just
switches
4 years and then just set it back and go, okay.
I think to Ryan's point though, it's basically like supposed to be a shot in the arm to Americans to feel like, hey, this is America now. It feels good to be an American again, and it's more moralization. Whereas I think a lot of people, specifically people who consider themselves right-leaning, they felt demoralized a lot over the last 4 years. So just kind of seeing this as a symbolic move. While I agree with Cappy that it is kind of like petty BS, I think it makes people feel good. I'm kind of indifferent to the whole deal, where I think Cappy and I would probably agree that it's like, let's do things that are more productive for the average American rather than this petty BS. But at the same time, people feel good about it. So,
it's
one of those things where the media cycle, they're not going to shut up about it either for a while. So he can do all kinds of things while they're busy ranting about the Gulf of Mexico.
chess.
They really can't keep up. Like, he'll sign an executive order and they're just like, God, we got to make another news segment on this executive order. He's outpacing. It's hilarious.
It's like this guy
as long
says,
as journalists are
Trump's
pissed, I'm okay. Like,
shelf,
as long as journalists are pissed off, then I'm whatever. It's whatever.
You don't hate journalists enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I would say people underestimate how COVID affected like the motivation for people to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think that's what we're trying to bring back. We're trying to bring back a pre-COVID America, and the only way to do it is to get people to galvanize people. And I guess using your politics and executive orders to like as a form of shit posting is probably like the only way right now. It's the new shit executive orders is the new shit posting.
Well, this next one is interesting to me. It's designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. I mean, doesn't the deep state, don't they get all their money from all the drug cartels? Isn't that how they fund black ops?
There's some truth to that, but I actually didn't think this was a good move on his part, because this is kind of how the U.S. gets into a lot of wars, is in like they'll designate like the Houthis over in Yemen terrorists, or different, places in Cuba terrorists. And then basically that allows them to kind of dick around down there. So really what should be done is that, what he's kind of doing now, which is putting military on the border to make sure that, there's less immigration, or at least controlled immigration. But when you designate Mexican cartels as terrorists, I mean, that pretty much gives the president the authority to start drone striking down in Mexico, which that could get pretty ugly, because what do you think is going to happen when you start fighting a war on your own southern border? Well, the people who are down in Mexico who are innocent are going to want to come over here, and you're going to tell them no, but that creates a lot of work and hazard, where we should just kind of focus on keeping Americans safe, and then, going in maybe guerrilla warfare style to where gangs are or cartels are in America, and then getting them the hell out of there, rather than trying to fight this giant war on our southern border.
I think that one's for the ladies. I think that one was to appeal to the women, because as soon as women started getting what by illegal immigrants, they wanted something. So Trump's like, okay, well, I'll just bomb the shit out of I think it's because guys have been getting like screwed over by immigrants a lot, but as soon as one hurts a woman, it's like, all right, let's bomb the shit out of this country. I think that's what it was.
But aren't women turned on by that? I think that's what they wanted. Isn't that what they
wait, hold on, Cappy.
What? Oh, am I going way too cynical, way too quick? I should slow down. Okay, all right. I'll be only half as cynical then. So. But I'm confused,
I agree with you. But
why did they vote for it?
A lot of these policies are pro women more than we think, and the guys are just like, yeah, and I'm like, dude, this didn't really wouldn't have happened if those girls, if that one girl didn't get sadly, by illegal immigrants, right? And that's why he's like, oh, okay, well, you want to hurt our women, and then we'll carpet bomb Sinaloa and destroy literally every facility you have.
But isn't
And
it hot when our women get hurt? Oh wait, shit. So, oh god damn. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop.
Now
doing that.
and canceled. That's
yeah, I think that's just male nature. Like how many countries do you think we would have carpet bombed if they just started killing American women? Like if Afghanistan had 100 American women and saying we're gonna behead all these women, do you think America would be like, hold on, let's talk strategy here? No, they'll be like, all right, send 4 carriers. Canada, you're sending one too. Fuck it, let's go. And then, yeah, that country would be gone. And that's how I think that's just how the male mind works. We just can't help ourselves. We need to destroy countries and empires for women. So I guess
So it's the intuitive protective instinct, right?
Exactly. I think this, Cappy, is a female kind of like thing.
So there was a big thing where cartels were doing bad stuff to women. I don't watch the news at all. So
well, no, because what happens is a lot of the crime that comes over is they're just trying to get an excuse to like absolutely terrify anyone that comes over the border or tries to move drugs over the border. And then women started dying because of fentanyl and because men started hurting women. And they're just like, all right, well, this is our let's say it's a terrorist organization. That way we have full access to bomb the fuck out of everyone, and women will be happy because we're defending them or something. That's my take on it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So now are the women going to date the accountants and the plumbers? I'm confused. They're not going after the drug lord. Violent.
I've been outjaded. This is awesome.
So now we'll wait, Ryan, what's your character's name? Leon?
Wendell?
Wendell. Is Wendell finally going to get some now? Is the computer programmer Wendell?
Wendell defends all women.
I like that. Wendell.
Hey, Thor's here.
Hey, Thor.
Thor?
Hey, you guys, can you hear me okay? I'm forced to use the iMac microphone. I had a soundboard failure, so.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. I'm having to use that in the damn PC speaker, so I'll mute as much as possible. Thank you.
All right. Yes, so is Wendell going to defend women here by bombing the cartels? Or
Wendell has no idea. Wendell's sports betting right now.
Oh, okay.
The Raiders need to make the playoffs or I don't make rent. Hawk Chua Coin emptied out the bank account.
Time to be his wife, I guess.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. Let's
I guess she didn't.
Let's move on to the next one. This one actually I think Cappy probably likes. Ending diversity, inclusion, and equity hiring in the federal government.
Yeah, okay, ending racism and bigotry. Yes, obviously. I mean, what else? What that one's just. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that.
Do you think any of that had to do with that time when he got shot in the ear and his female what is it, Secret Service agent didn't know her ass from her elbow?
And the female Secret Service head. She was promptly the former head of security of Pepsi, and she got let's just. A more strategic point on that executive order is I know Ryan's going to say the goddamn Democrats, but the left that's their spearhead is we're group X or trait Y. And if you don't let us get free shit and preferential treatment, you hate us. And dude, the dumbass white people of America and the globe fell for it. Like, oh my God, I'm not totally against whatever. The Hispanics, and they just use that to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And now, and then Trump just had enough. Everyone else had enough. We've had enough of it in our culture and movies. There's a huge backlash. And so that I think was right on the nose to punch them right in their fucking nose. It's like, we're not doing this shit no more. So whether or not that gets held up in a court or anything like that, that was sending a very clear message. This is bullshit. We're not tolerating it. Go try some other hoodwinking shim sham scam somewhere else. But that one is obvious, clear, and it's morally right and correct.
Oh, the wording was so good too. Get your shit out of here by 5 o'clock on Friday.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, it was something like by Friday at 5, shut all this shit down.
Well, he also went after affirmative action, which I'm not sure if he had that planned, but I mean, these are two things that are very, very similar, where I think over the last 20 years, everybody got sick of Obama campaigning for Kamala Harris, saying, I'm going to talk to the brothers, and basically all the Democrats telling you you're racist, xenophobic, whatever, if you don't absolutely do everything for this group. And the Republicans do a little bit of this for a certain group of people, but much less so than all the other groups. And I think people just had enough. And they finally said, all right, fuck you. We don't want to sit here and play for every last little group. We're finally going to say, no. If you earned it, you earned it. We're not here to give, the most, the black woman her job just so that way we could say we hired a black woman. People just said, no. Whoever can do that position the best, we're giving that job to them.
Can I also add that, I mean, no matter how much of a good thing you get sick of it, and I, for one, maybe I'm just speaking about the minority here. Maybe I have the minority position, but I'm kind of sick and tired of the loud, fat black woman. Are you guys, have you guys got your fill of that? I don't know now some people may want more loud, fat black women. Some, ideally, if you want to get sex, it could be in a wheelchair, they could be lesbian, but I think I've had my fill of, apple pie for the past 10. If I don't see a large fat black woman in the lead of a movie for the next 10 years, I think I'll be okay with that. But I don't know about you. Maybe you guys want more fat, loud black women.
I'll pass on the she beast with dagger nails for a little bit.
You know what we need? We need more Dutch people in jobs in America.
Fuck
that's what
people.
I think. More,
dude. They'll bring in blackface back. It's awesome.
Hey, we ruled the world once for a reason. Just saying.
What happened?
It sucks, man. I don't get to say. Canada never got to say we ruled the world. We've been riding the high of that White House burning in 1812 for like 100
if you had
years.
more than 300 people living in your nation, maybe you could field an army that might take over something.
Well, if we would have negotiated better in 1846, we would have had something lower than the fucking 49th parallel. It's our own fault. It's our own fault. We could have had Chicago. I'm just saying.
We're this close. The temporary withdrawal of all areas on the outer continental shelf from offshore wind leasing. Anybody care about that?
No, I'm not well read on that.
What was that again?
He did something with temporary withdrawal of all areas on the outer continental shelf from offshore wind leasing.
I know it's a grift because they did that up here in Ontario. Catherine Wynne, our former premier, she tried doing a bunch of wind farms. And it tripled energy bills. It's sporadic as an energy source, but it makes you feel really good as a moral issue. And if you look at the cost to produce the materials, the cost to maintain the materials, and the energy you get from it, it ends up being net negative. So
yeah,
it's one of those ones. It's not a popular issue, but from just a plain old practical look, it's really not an effective use of taxpayer funds. But I mean, it's. For America's economy, for us, it's brutal. For you guys, it's like, oh, that sucks. Moving on.
Nuke, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so I think Trump is pro-nuclear power. Liberals hate nuclear power, right? Because they watched two or three Godzilla movies, 3 Mile Island documentary, and then Fukushima, and they think that if we have nuclear, we're all gonna die. But it's like Ryan was saying, in terms of amount of material per kilowatt or megawatts, like a little small palm-sized rock of uranium can produce enough energy of 10,000 windmills or whatever they call them. So it's it's an economic move, but he's basically saying the American people got to get over their fear of nuclear power. Like, if you guys want American supremacy, if you guys want to survive storms and always have power, if you guys want to have a nice countryside that isn't littered by solar panels or wind farms, then how about we tuck a nuclear power plant off behind a mountain and get all this nice energy, right? It's just basically telling Americans to grow up. I think that's this one, because one of the things about being a former reactor operator is that you see how safe it is, and people don't understand how much training and how much safeguards there are within the programming of a nuclear plant. So I think this is really good. I think this is one of the most important executive orders, even though we're kind of glossing over it. But in terms of energy generation, this will put us in a better position. Plus, it's better for natural disasters, right? Because if you have a hurricane or a windstorm or anything, your wind farms are gone. Those things will snap in half, right? And if you go solar, like you don't have enough batteries to store that energy on a day that, on a week that there's not a lot of the sun. But nuclear power, that's always going, right? As long as you have people that are well trained, you're always going to have power. So I think this is great.
So yeah, to Nuke's point though, nuclear energy is very energy dense. So like Nuke was saying, the molecules of nuclear are very, very dense, so they can hold a lot of energy. And to his other point about solar energy, I did a podcast on this a while back, so my memory's a little bit rusty on it. But the convertibility and usability of solar is actually very, very minimal. I think like the total amount of sunlight energy they get, solar panels can only convert. It's like a quarter of what they get. To what they convert to actual usable energy. And then to store that energy, you need huge cells, and the reliability of those cells are like 80%, whereas like all the energy that we have now is like 96 to 99% reliable. So we're talking about you're not getting a lot of energy it's very inefficient, and you can't store it for very long, and it's not as reliable as all the energy we have now. And I think nuclear would be a big improvement. So like I said, I don't know a lot about this particular executive order or anything beyond that. But if it is to kind of help nuclearize some energy, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, because a lot of plants are closing down. Like I think nuclear plants, they have like a 30-year contract, 20-year. And then what's happening is that we have all this, Green New Deal, like, hey, nuclear bad, right? But first off, like if you build a solar farm, you need a lot of real estate. Like you need acres and acres.
Right.
So, that's displacing wildlife. You have to have people that go out there and check those cables so that rodents are not chewing on those cables, because there's just so much, it's a pain in the ass, right? Or you could have a nuclear plant that animals won't go near, and you're doing more good than you are bad. And I think it's great. I think Americans need to grow up and realize that nuclear is the best we got right now, unless they, discover other source of energy, like,
but I will only say 20 years away.
Yeah. I will say solar is good for countries with power issues, right? Like if you have a country like Dominican Republic or Philippines, and a solar panel on will cause you to be more independent of the shitty power grid, right? So my parents, they were offered to build solar on their house in Puerto Rico because they're rebuilding the power grid after that hurricane that flattened the island. And I think that's good. The only thing is like $25,000 to build it. I'm just like, yeah, solar is just too expensive.
Any of you guys watch Landman?
No.
Oh,
I watched the clip with the coffee girl.
Yeah,
I saw that.
You guys might like that. It's pretty good. It's about this guy who's sort of the general manager for an oil company down in Texas, and he leases land from the cartel and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things that he talks about in there is how like wind, just the turbines, the metal it takes, and the milling of the metal, and being able to truck all those, all that metal to put up a wind turbine, like creates more of a carbon footprint than they can save with the wind. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, the Dutch are kings at that, are wasting energy. All we do is invest in solar and wind energy. And as soon as the Ukrainian war hit, where we were in an energy crisis, all the saved up solar power and wind energy and whatever didn't mean jack shit. Like, nothing. Like you'd think with all the energy reserves we would have, we would be prepared for a crisis like that. Nope. Prices still skyrocketed. Prices are still skyrocketing till this day. So all the investments they made on all those ugly windmills and all those horrible solar panels everywhere didn't do anything. Did nothing. So that's what I can tell you guys, where it's like when I hear all these executive orders, it's like a European can dream. That's all I'm hearing, where it's like, oh God, please let it happen here. But it just won't, I just make me an American now. Some of you marry me. I'll fake the game.
In mind, a lot of these are going to be challenged. They're going to be challenged in the court. I mean, not all these are going to go through.
Yeah.
So there's a pride. He could sign all the declarations he wants, but it's not. It's not a dictatorship over here. So, but it's still in the right direction.
Dictatorship yet.
Yeah. I think that's where the rubber's going to kind of hit the road. If past performance is any indicator, Trump typically bows out pretty easily. It seems like it's going to be different this time, but he normally, his first 4 years, he got pushed around a lot and didn't really fight back. I hope he does this time, but we'll just kind of have to see. It's still pretty early to tell.
Yeah. Let's move on away from wind. Oh, actually, Thor, do you want to add to this?
Sure. I just wanted to ask Nuke, since we were on this energy thing, he is in the industry, but it's my understanding that regulation, the reduction of regulation can really help, because there has been a nuclear technology called thorium reactors that are quite a bit safer and have a high energy density. Do you know anything about that? I mean, it's been regulation that's been holding the installation of thorium reactors up. Did you know anything about that?
Yeah.
Your background?
Yeah. The thing is, like, we can create all these, hardworking nuclear scientists. They can create all these new forms of nuclear energy and use different materials, moderators. Instead of water, we use something else. But the thing is, like, it's convincing the public that, hey, we're building a nuclear plant 10 miles away from where you grew up or where you live. Is this okay? And there's always going to be picket signs in front of these new nuclear plants. So I think the challenge is to get people that, like, hey, we're building data centers and AI, and we have all these nice things that you want, right? We cannot use this. We cannot use wind energy to power all these new data centers. And you guys like fast computers, right? You guys like hospitals that, you guys all like all these nice things. So we need nuclear energy to power this shit. This shit doesn't come from thin air, So I like that there's new technologies, but I have faith that nuclear power has always been safe, but you just need to convince the public of that. And that's tough. That's hard.
Do you think
because the damn communists with Chernobyl?
Yeah, it's the Chernobyl effect. Like, everyone's like, Chernobyl happened, so nuclear power bad. I'm like, well, you got to choose. Either you like outages during a tornado, or you want nuclear power and never worry about outages ever again.
Well, Chernobyl was commie bullshit too. It was all like
it
same
is
way
the
they would run things
goddamn
in Canada.
Democrats. It is the goddamn.
It literally
Yeah.
is.
It literally
like
is.
they mismanaged it so much because they were worried about things other than the safety of it.
Well,
Right.
it's the
Yeah,
same
and they
thing
use
in the
sodium.
Netherlands. It's the
Yeah.
same
And they
thing
use
here in the
sodium.
Netherlands. They're so worried about the safety because of Fukushima, was it right?
Fukushima?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
of Fukushima. Even though the Netherlands is one of the most strict when it comes to safety policies, like worker rights and safety rights, safety inspections, whatever, they're so tight knit on that here. And I'm like, why not build that nuclear reactor? You're creating jobs, you're creating a safe source of energy, and because of the quality control of the Netherlands, it being messed up is not very likely. But
It takes 10 years to train an operator too. They better get on that. It takes a long time to
Oh
train
yeah.
one.
By how it's going here, we won't see the first real reactor until 2050 or something.
So what they could do is they could import former Navy nukes, and they'll train the Dutch. And that's what, a lot of I think Dubai was doing that because they wanted to build a reactor. So they'll get, because, everyone complains that America's falling behind, but in terms of like this kind of stuff, America's way ahead of everyone else. So they can import former Navy nukes and then train all these countries to
Are you
operate
telling
reactors.
me you want to see the Netherlands? I'll show you.
But it's crazy, because like people think that the plant is the most dangerous, but it's what happens between the plant and the transformers that stepped up or stepped down the voltage. Just ask Thor. That's where the real danger is. People don't see that. Like the guys that are working on the freaking, high voltage lines, that's where we should be concerned about power. Like, hey, those are the guys that are out there. But, because you saw 3 Mile Island documentary, like, yeah, of course everyone's gonna be like, like,
we have 3 nuclear reactors apparently, 3, and they're barely used.
Well, let's move on away from energy for a little bit. You guys seem to be really.
Sorry, it's my
We're
wheelhouse.
heated up.
I spurred out. My bad.
He also he revoked active or current security clearances held by former intelligence officials involved with the inappropriate political coordination with the 2020 Biden presidential campaign and John R. Bolton. So did I don't know what happened with that. Did the spooks help Biden win? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think some of them was basically surrounding like how they kind of manipulated the media in the 2020 campaign. And then John Bolton was Trump's former Secretary of State, I think it was. And I know him and Bolton had a falling out because Trump, while not in total, dove, he isn't as, hawkish on every intervention around the world like John Bolton is. So there's a little bit of a falling out. And Bolton seems to be concerned about his safety from the Iranians, which is just absolutely ridiculous. He'll be fine. But even if he's not, I don't think anyone's going to lose any sleep over it. And a lot of the people that Trump revoked the security clearance for, like I said, I don't think many well-intentioned Americans are going to be concerned with their safety at all, including Anthony Fauci.
Dude, the Bolton thing, that's insane. Like he's always been the guy who wanted to like glass everybody. He's been wanting to hawk everything, and the fact that Trump didn't want to start a war, how Bolton made it as far as he did, I'll never know.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that he looks like the janitor from today's special. I don't even know if Americans know that show, but was that in America?
I'm not sure. They call him the Death Walrus.
Yeah, Death Walrus is actually a pretty good choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, him, Fauci, dude, like so many people are like waiting for a Luigi to pop up now they took off Fauci's security detail. I think Trump did that as a troll. Because he knows nobody's going after him, but he's kind of like, hey.
Yeah. I mean, it's odd because Trump did give Fauci the award for Operation Warp Speed in 2020, but, who knows how he feels about that now. So, I do think it's funny, though. But, yeah, I think if there was another Luigi character around, like I said, I don't think any well-intentioned Americans are going to lose any sleep about that.
The next one here, I kind of want to get Ryan's take on this. Granting pardons for January 6 rioters. Wasn't your friend Pat arrested and go to jail for that kind of shit? Your
yes, dude. You know what? Honestly, good for him. I don't like being in that situation myself, although not as stupid about it. It really sucks to have the system like used against you. But I will say this: if he's listening, and I know he's not, when you get caught with something and you get off, you be squeaky fucking clean, because right now I guarantee there is some judge, some prosecutor, there's somebody out there who's miffed and he looks like an idiot now because you got to go free, and he'll be looking for any reason to nuke your ass. Don't get a parking ticket. Don't jaywalk. Don't do nothing. I've seen it before. A guy in the military got caught with CP on our deployment.
Oh, no.
Oh, dude. And you know the worst part is, because I was like, dude, I just want to go to sleep. They're like, you can't go into the mess. We're doing an investigation. That's the part I was mad about, missing sleep, not the potential CP. But yeah, so he got off. All those charges were dropped because they basically broke a bunch of laws because they were so excited to finally catch somebody. And then he ended up doing coke, got caught for that. It's like, you idiot. They're watching you like a hawk. So yeah, don't be the CP guy, Stedman. That's all I can say on that.
All right.
Well, did he learn his lesson? That's the important thing. Did he learn his lesson? Yeah. Right? Because you could have all this grandstanding, like, hey, I got parted because of America, but I'm like, would you do that again?
You know what sucks though is that he still did a little bit of time. Like he actually spent some time in jail, so that the pardons are after the fact. It's like he still had to go to jail for that kind of crap.
Yeah, I was on with Jack and Rob last night on Red Evening, and we talked about this. There's this guy, Owen Schroyer, who's on InfoWars, and he disrupted a Senate hearing and agreed to a deferred prosecution agreement for that. And basically, the deferred prosecution agreement said, don't be an asshole at the Capitol. Okay, well, January 6th happens, and what's he do? Can't help himself. Acts like an asshole at the Capitol, and then he gets thrown in prison. Like, I think this is excessive no matter what, but he agreed to the terms and then couldn't help himself, went to the Capitol, got thrown in prison. What's he do? First thing he says, I'm a political prisoner. You agreed to the terms. I don't agree with those terms, but you failed to read the don't eat paint warning that you agreed you read. And then now all of a sudden you're a victim about it. Like, all right, man, well, like
unforced
said,
errors for the win.
Exactly.
Oh man, I used to subscribe to InfoWars years ago. I remember Owen Schroyer. So he went to prison, huh, for all that?
He did. And like I said, I agree it's excessive, but you agreed to the deferred prosecution agreement that said don't be an asshole at the Capitol. You act like an asshole at the Capitol, and they throw you in the slammer for it.
Interesting.
Well, yeah.
All right, we'll skip through a couple of these. Reevaluating United States foreign aid, declaring a national energy emergency. That kind of goes hand in hand with the wind farm discussion. Restoring accountability for career senior executives. Does anyone know what's that's about?
What does that even mean? They mean
Maybe
like
it's for the
government
tech
executives,
people.
or
Maybe it's the leash to tech people. Put them on a leash a little bit.
Was that the part of the thing of getting people to go back to work? Maybe. I don't know.
It
I
says,
mean, you can only do that for the federal government, right?
come on, audience, we look stupid. One of you got to
we
school
don't know.
us.
We don't, I don't, and I
Yeah,
don't want to read through all that. That's too long. Didn't read. Doesn't apply to me. I don't care. Let's see here. Promoting beautiful federal civic architecture. Okay. What do you guys think about this one? Restoring the death penalty in the United States. I didn't know that we stopped doing the death penalty. I thought it was a state by state thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm not 100% sure.
Depends on for what.
What's that? What's that
Depends on what. Like if you kill the family of 4, yeah, but if you I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
my
I
default
think it's
position is
murder.
that our government is way too incompetent to be deciding if people should live or die. I'm sure there's justified cases, but man, there have been unjustified cases, and to think about that,
I'm with Kyle on that one. Letting the government have that power, like Canada did that with euthanasia, and we've regretted it ever since. Well, I mean,
there's a reason why we say seek Canadian healthcare.
That's why the whole there's this woman that introduced hey, if you diddle kids, you get the death penalty. But I'm like, there are gonna be cases where the guy's gonna be 19 and the girl's gonna be 16, and you're gonna end that guy's life because you feel, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And how often you guys remember a couple
let's trust the judges that are trained, let's not trust the government, please.
Yeah, well, you guys remember a few years ago, and some of it was justified, some of it I think might have been a little bit excessive, but the whole groomer hysteria a couple years ago, like I said, some of it was absolutely spot on, but people were throwing around groomer left and right on Twitter, and somebody catches wind of that and then tries to throw somebody under the bus because they don't like them, and the next thing you know, somebody's getting executed for wrong think. Ugh, that's
Are we gonna do it to women? Are we gonna
right?
It kind of reminds me. Did you guys ever see To Catch a Murderer, that series on Netflix?
Holy shit!
Is that Chris Hansen's new thing?
No. It's To Catch a Murderer was it had nothing to do with diddling kids. I know you guys are all about that, but no.
Hello.
That one was interesting because it was the documentary was about how this shady sheriff's department in Manitowoc County, Wisconsin, basically railroaded this guy and framed him for murder, and then when he did 15 years. And he finally won his freedom. He was able to prove through DNA that he wasn't the guy. And so when he came out, he sued the sheriff's department. And in the middle of suing the sheriff's department, they of course framed him for another murder and railroaded this guy. And they also they did all
catch a break.
They did all this shady stuff, and he couldn't afford a good attorney, and so he got thrown in jail. Plus his nephew, who was he was mentally retarded or something like that, got roped into it. So they both went to prison. And man, is the one of the most clearest cases of just corruption from a local government that could just absolutely. They have the full weight of the government behind them, and they can just screw you over. So it's a pretty scary story. Anyway,
it's funny too when you think about it. People trust the government, or do you trust hardened criminals? And people are like, you know what? The criminals, they didn't ruin the housing market. Let's just put them in a cell. It'll be fine.
Though, what's the difference? What's the difference between hardened criminals and politicians? Let's be honest here.
Yeah,
capability.
A normal judge would be like, hey, you can't date this 16-year-old. You're 19 or 20. Let's get a restraining order and call it a day. Whereas it's a female judge who just got out of divorce, or something. And she's like, oh, you touched a girl that's 3 years younger than you, and she's underage?
She's like, that's hot. Let's import more immigrants. Is that what they say?
And then that same week, a female teacher who diddled a fifth grader is I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. Let's only give you 2 years in prison. I love you. And I'm like, you know what? That's why I don't trust the government.
Yeah.
There's too many female judges, I guess, too.
Fair. All right. So then we have routing more water from Sacramento, San Joaquin Delta to other parts of California, which is good, I guess. And then we got securing the United States borders. That are we gonna get our goddamn wall? Like, can we get a wall here?
No, you're going to get the
How high do you want
military
it,
down
Paul?
there.
Yeah, I
get the
heard you
military.
guys are bringing the Apaches down, and you're gonna go
About
Black Hawk
fucking
down on the
time.
border. Sicaro pilled.
This next one's pretty interesting. United States citizenship does not automatically extend to those born in the United States now, so that gets rid of the anchor baby situation.
Right. I think that was part of the whole thing, is that a lot of people would come here and then they'd, spit out a kid here, and then all of a sudden that means the parents couldn't be separated from the family. And
That was
I
a
think that,
strategy.
right. I think that reduces a lot of issues surrounding that. And it was pretty funny. I think it was Tom Homan, who's considered the border czar now, or whatever the hell he is. He said, no, we could deport the whole family, which, all right, man, rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing great. We're getting like 300 a day. Killing
Did
it.
you see that one in Chicago they did, where they raided that dude's apartment? Grabbed
yeah, I
like, the
saw
5
that
illegals
post,
rented there. Dude, Dick Masters had the best take on it. He's like, hey, before all you liberals start crying about fascism, just remember, these are evil landlords he's going after. So don't worry. So like even the leftists is like, you guys got this.
Well,
I think this one's huge. This one's huge.
Yeah.
There was that whole thing during the Biden administration where border states like in Florida, because the Democrats are basically like allowing all these, people coming into the states, and then they declared themselves like refugee cities or whatever, refuge cities, and but they were in places that weren't along the border, right? Like Denver, for instance, and Chicago. So then like the governor of Florida was like, okay, well, we're going to ship you all these guys to your sanctuary cities, right?
Then
And
it
so
became
all-
Martha's Vineyard.
so all of a sudden,
Greg Abbott did the same thing.
Chicago
Yeah.
got overwhelmed by immigrants coming in from like the governor shipping them there. And they're like, we can't take all these people. And he's like, exactly. Like, shut the fuck up,
Right.
Yeah, Eric Adams did the same thing with Greg Abbott. They're like rivals. They're like anime rivals now because Greg Abbott would just ship like 20 buses full of migrants to like in front of civic centers in front of like in New York. He's just like, okay, well here you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
once a lot of those blue areas kind of figured out that you don't like people shitting in the streets, they probably figured, oh yeah, we
Wait,
probably don't want this many people coming
Kyle,
in.
but that's hot. Liberal white women love immigrant shit. And that's like hot. They get all wet for that.
They're still
like,
doing
oh
that
my
in San
God.
Francisco, aren't they?
It's
That's
hot.
Wait,
still
you
a
guys
thing,
remember
right?
Martha's
Did
Vineyard?
Corey
where
Wayne
they-
say that?
You guys
Corey Wayne
remember
say that?
Martha's Vineyard where they shipped all those immigrants to like where the richest people in America lived?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they like fed the immigrants for like 2 days and they're like, all right, guys, you gotta go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time to go.
You guys remember that?
Dude, that was the greatest thing. That explained, like, that took the facade off of things immediately. It was the greatest thing ever.
Empathy's only good politics insofar as you don't have to have that empathy.
Yeah, luxury
And-
belief.
Yeah,
Luxury
once it
belief.
was no longer blue collar Americans that had to deal with the consequences of immigration, then people are like, oh yeah, this is actually unpopular. And I mean, by all polls, it is.
That's the same thing here in the Netherlands. The asylum seeker centers, they always put them in like the small villages that nobody cares about. And then if you complain about the immigrants and the asylum seekers, you're just a far right racist.
That means the one good thing. I mean, very tangibly so. That means nothing now. No one. It means absolutely any kind of istrophobe accusation or you hate that. Nope, fuck you. Just fuck you. It's being shut down.
Well, yeah, the Democrats lost all their credibility with all accusations of bigotry because they leveled it at anybody who disagreed with them. Anytime you disagree with them, you're whatever ism, phobia, or whatever. And like I was saying earlier, people just got sick of it. Like, fuck it, we don't care anymore. We want, affordable groceries. We want to feel like we're actually welcome in our own country. We don't want to have to press 2 for English, right? We want to feel like this is fucking America again.
Well, that's what I like about all of this, because America is like the leader on the world stage, and I'm just hoping that Europe follows. Where it's like, yeah, no, this is what the people want. This is what the world wants. Let's fucking go.
Jack, did you see the Spanish people there trying to talk tough? Have you seen the Canadians try to talk tough?
I've seen the French, the Spanish, the Belgians, the Dutch, the German. All of them are like, oh, we're not going to cooperate and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, we are dependent on their military. Shut the fuck up and sit down.
America needs to punch the world in the face right now.
Oh, yeah.
We need to be
I
wedgied.
am-
We need to get shoved in a
Amen.
locker.
Amen.
We need to get
I
the
am
full
welcoming
Vimishek
it.
Schwame treatment or whatever his name was.
I'm welcoming it. I am so sick and tired about these pencil neck leftists in the Netherlands thinking they're hot shit. Where it's like, oh, we're gonna step up the Trump. It's like, dude, if Trump like shuts down the money, we're lost. We don't have anything.
Well, I think that's what people forgot is that because of the American military, the 7th Fleet is why nobody else has to donate to NATO. Oh, America's got security handled. We'll get a welfare state. But then they started acting all petulant over it. Like, great example was Canada's trade thing. Sorry, Paul, I know we're going to get there, but
No,
so
go ahead.
America is 25% of our GDP, just exports. We are like 1% of America's. And we're sitting here like, dude, we're going to ban maple syrup and Heinz ketchup. Fuck America. And America will like, eh.
That would actually suck, though. I like ketchup.
Meanwhile, we'll be speed running Venezuela, any percent speed run category.
You're gonna
Well,
have to eat Hunt's ketchup nuke and like it, okay? No more
Listen,
Heinz for you.
As the
We've
native
had a carrier in
Pennsylvanian-
7th Fleet for the last 10 years until when I went on my second deployment. There was a 1-month gap where there was no carrier out there, and that was because Trump is like, yeah, let's take a break. That's literally that's why there wasn't a carrier for 2 months out there after 15 years of carriers being in the Middle East and 7th Fleet and all that area. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man. These people don't know how much work it takes to get a carrier going there, and just saying, hey, everyone chill. No pirates, no funny business. And now, Trump might do that again. Trump might say, hey, let's bomb what's left of these shitty Taliban countries. And then we'll take a break. And good luck, guys. Good luck with the pirates.
I hope
Bye.
he does, because that's the thing with Europe. Europe is the petulant rich child, where it's like daddy gave them money and now they think they rule the world. And it's like, no, you don't.
Just import blondes. Just send us
Canada
blondes.
still lives in the basement. At least you guys moved out. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, did we though? World War III, as soon as it happens, we'll be crawling back to Cappy, where it's like, hey, I want my bike back. Could you go get it?
There's a way you could get it back if you start importing Africans, and you might.
We can do an H-1B visa, but for 5'10" blondes from Amsterdam or from Netherlands. So
how about a
what about
6-foot brunette, please?
Not you next.
We
I'm watching-
want tits or get the fuck out.
I'm watching Clary's American pride just welling inside him. I never see him smile, but he's like smiling. I can't stop it.
Goofy. We're gonna get girls with big tits, and we're gonna bring them in here.
No. It was when America needs to punch us all in the face. I could see it. Your face, and you couldn't stop it. You tried to scowl.
Dude, we're like the big
Let's
mentally
build a
retarded kid
Buc-ee's
on the playground.
in Netherlands. If we build a Buc-ee's in Netherlands, they will be on our side.
Let me explain how America has been. We've been the big special needs, gentle gen on the playground, and everyone just keeps taking their crack at us. America needs to just lose their shit and fucking beat the hell out of one country or one group of people, and they're like, oh shit. And then I don't know what it would be, but just no, we're not your fucking bitches anymore. And by the way,
Canada.
yeah, right. Canada, go talk to the Canadians. But Haiti, we're not fucking around with that anymore. It's a military dictatorship. Practice for our Marines.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh shit, look what the president did with the Haiti. Oh my god.
Nuke's like, tell me more. No, but Cappy, do you remember? Do you remember one of the first things you told me on one of the first shows you and I ever did? Jack, you know what it feels like being an American? It feels like having the biggest fucking dick in the world, riding as fast as you can, driving down the highway. That's what it feels like being an American.
Oh yeah, what it be a real American? Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's kind of like that. Yeah. All right. So these next ones are all sort of border related. So realignment of U.S. refugee admission program. Let's see here. Unleash America's affordable and reliable energy. That goes back to the energy crisis stuff. Clarifying the military's role in protecting U.S. borders.
Oh God. Oh wait, there's another one. Military one is just hey, military is for military stuff, not for DEI, not for politics. Military is to kill.
So
I think that was one executive order.
You might be able to expand upon this a little bit more, but some of the guys I'm friends with who are ex-military talked about Pete Hegseth as a major, if I remember correctly, which basically that just meant he was a capable body that lasted, what is it, like 7 or 8 years in the military. He was never in charge of like massive groups of people. My one buddy Typo, who was a Marine for a little bit, had said this to him kind of looks like they're going to use Pete Hegseth to kind of clean up the military because there's a lot of administrative bloat in the military. Does that sound right to you?
Are the ranks about the same in Canada? Like a major here would be a 2.5 stripe, so like a second in command of a unit.
Once again, I'm not a military guy, but that's why I kind of think nuke.
Yeah, you're less political at that level.
Sure.
I think generals and admirals are politicians, basically. You know, they're
Right.
basically politicians. So if you have a general and admiral, you're basically hiring like a politician who it has a uniform on, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just say that like the biggest thing now is I think we need to stop spending on like stuff like uniform. Like I don't know. Like when Trump was in office and I needed a card for the reactor for the plant, right? It was faster, and it was like no bullshit. We'd order a card, $20,000 chip that said, "Hey, reactor shut down if you reach this power level," and we'd get it. It would be like no qualms. And I think what the bloat is, at least for the Navy, is that getting our shit faster so we can move on with our mission and do what the fuck we have to do. Whereas, and that costs time and energy, and you're just waiting around punching holes in the ocean before you continue because you need parts. And whatever gets military, the parts, guns, whatever they need faster is going to save money in the long run because you're wasting less time. And your deployments, if you fix something fast on a ship that would have taken a week under another president, but it takes 2 days because you got the part flown out that fast, you've saved 5 days of operation time on a giant carrier feeding.
And 5 days of somebody's salary too.
Yeah, and that in the military, like a carrier costs a lot of money, even for 1 day of operation. So anything
Even the
that
destroyers or the frigates.
Yeah,
All of them.
anything that shortens like the amount of time a carrier is not operational is going to save lots of money. I'm sure Ryan and Paul agree on that.
Yeah. So
Well, here, good example is for ships, just a normal frigate or destroyer or whatever, things that aren't nuclear. They measure fuel in cums, cubic meters. And some of the more expensive ones would be like 150 cubic meters a day. Just to let you know, when you think, oh, it's a ship, it's expensive. Think about how much fuel a cubic meter is, and then think about 100 of them every day while you're waiting 7 days because you need to get a widget.
So a lot of guys talk about like the whole PayPal mafia backing Trump, and I'll tie this in how this makes sense here in a second. But like the Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, David Sachs, Mark Andreessen, Ben Horowitz, who all kind of threw their weight behind Trump. It was basically under the guise of like, we want to dismantle the bureaucratic and managerial state, as in the kind of guys that make a salary off of just bureaucracy and making everybody's lives difficult. I think they want to see government operate more efficiently, and this kind of goes to another executive order that Trump did, was establishing the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, as Elon Musk would call it, which is basically just going to try to reduce the overall bloat in government. Now, are they going to be successful? Who knows? Elon seemingly did an okay enough job with Twitter. If he's going to be able to do that in government, who knows? I hope so, but my stance on most of the stuff is kind of like, we'll see. It looks good so far, but are they willing to put up a fight? Nobody knows.
Speaking of the Doge one, that one is it's interesting because I think that's one of the biggest problems with presidents, right? They come in and the bureaucrats are there for years, so they're like, oh, all we have to do is outweight this asshole and we'll be fine, but if you can clean up some of that stuff, I think that actually might be a good thing if they can actually do it. Let me get this one super chat we have here. Pat Stedman's polished passport for $5.99 says, I didn't learn a damn thing. Okay, great. That's great.
I'm just gonna say it, this guy fucks, am I right?
Let's see here. So we have skip through some of these here. Delaying the TikTok ban, which kind of goes. So I guess you're going to
keep the girls happy. You got to keep the girls happy.
The annoying TikTok girls for a while there, Cappy. So stuck with that. Withdrawing.
That was a smart move, by the way.
Withdrawing from World Health Organization.
Nice.
Good.
Put America first in international environmental agreements.
Nice.
Yep. Nuclear
Oh,
power. Yep.
Fuck
thing
the
I want-
Paris Accord.
One thing I wanted to ask Cappy about what he thought about this, but he also created the what is it, the External Revenue Service, right? So that, and I think that has to do with the tariffs. So do you, like, as an economist, like, you're probably the most well versed in what that could possibly mean. Is that a good thing or a bad thing in your opinion?
It depends. I mean, there's going to be winners and losers. The good thing is, in theory, if you kept it up for a while, you'd have, that would promote growth and jobs here. Because if we're not going to buy it from China, or we can't afford it from China, then we have to make it ourselves. But then it's also going to be more expensive. Almost invariably, you're going to have inflation with tariffs. But and like I said, it really depends. Like, for example, I would see no reason to put tariffs on Japanese cars because the Japanese make pretty good cars. I believe the Chinese have pretty much fucking stolen trillions from us in the shit they sent over here, to the point that if I was president, I'm like, we're not paying you our national debt. Fuck you. Your Timu Chinesium shit that came over here. This is junk. That is a great, and I think that's a very good reason to apply tariffs in that kind of case. So it kind of depends, but yeah, you're not going to get your $2 Chinese shirt, but maybe you got to pay $15 for an American-made shirt, but it's going to last more than 3 weeks. That kind of deal. And then, yeah, it's a way to raise revenue. It's a way to punish foreign companies and foreign countries that are, let's just say, doing international trade in bad faith. It's also a tool where it's like, hey, Mexico, once they're at the Guatemalan border on your south end, you stop them there. If you don't, you're not selling us shit. And I guess your economy goes into recession. So I like what Trump's generally doing so far. But yes, when you're applying tariffs, you're going to need some kind of accounting entity to take in the revenue. I don't know why it wouldn't be the IRS, but I guess he created a separate entity maybe to bypass inefficiencies of the IRS.
Well, do you want to give the IRS more power?
Well, that too, yeah.
Well, the problem is that now you also make another, whole department now that could be ran by people that eventually are going to be unfavorable to you. But I think we don't have like a strong manufacturing base like we used to anymore. So like Happy said, there's going to be some, you're not going to be able to get as cheap of goods. But I think kind of the idea is to incentivize more consumption at home, which is good. But the problem is there's still going to be a lag until we can kind of establish our manufacturing base again, which is generally a good thing because you're going to have good jobs for Americans and also be able to get stuff here quicker and potentially more reliably.
Kyle, you insult me and all Americans. Like, it's going to take us some lag time. What are you talking about? We have the most educated workforce of Zoomers and millennials with their women's studies degrees and hold my left nutsack studies. These kids are the most educated, intelligent. They're ready to go. They can start. I don't know why we got a housing shortage with all the diversity and inclusion majors. I don't know why we're just not building homes.
Yeah.
You should be nicer to the young kids, Kyle. You should be nicer to them.
Sort of a devil's advocate to this. So I've heard this argument from the other side that charging tariffs to other countries actually is a tax on the American people because they're just going to pass that cost on to the consumers here. Could that be a negative thing, or is it basically now it puts it at even keel with American prices?
It's true that it will be applied to the consumers, but once again, this goes back to kind of driving people's incentives to consume locally rather than, internationally. And I think that's kind of like the guys behind it is, once again, you encourage people to start searching at home and start spending more at home. And then hopefully that drives up demand for people to create things here rather than, once again, get stuff from China, Japan, or wherever.
Isn't that going to affect like Amazon a lot, and and downstream of that, just people in general? Because, for example, if I wanted a desk and I saw like it's for American made for like $400, and then I go on like Temu or I go on Amazon and they have it for like $100. Like, I think
a lot of it depends on trade. What counts as trade?
Depends on
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
it depends on the product, right? Because for furniture, you can get furniture like 10, like 5 times cheaper if you go overseas and wait an extra week. But if you get American-made furniture here, you're paying like 4 times the price. But it could be by product. I don't know.
Well, keep in mind too, a lot of that is because of subsidized transport. That's why it's cheaper for China. Like I'm using Canada as an example here. China doesn't actually, they pay preferred rates for postage. So that's why they can send a thing here cheaper than a Canadian can build it and give it to you next door. If that's part of so what counts as trade is really the ultimate answer. NAFTA, for example, they think that means we can all build things and send them across the border. What it means is General Motors will build parts in Mexico where it's cheaper, parts in Canada where it's cheaper, ship them to the States, and then construct a car there because it's always cheaper. Does that count as trade? Because if that counts as trade, then they're going to have to start importing the whole process of car manufacture. You're going to have a lot more manufacturing buildup, hence the lag time. But if it doesn't count as trade, and trade only counts as finished products, there's always the chance that people are going to do what France does with like Louis Vuitton, where they get the whole thing made abroad, shipped there, stitch a made in France sticker at the end of the purse, and now it's a French good. So again, this is one of those things where details are really going to matter, and it's kind of how much faith do you have in it being implemented properly to do, like Claria said, to encourage local consumption, create more industrialization, and move that manufacturing needle. Now, I'm cynical Canada would be able to do that, but America, maybe you guys are good at it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just that one's gonna be tough. I don't think Americans are gonna like that one because we like our cheap shit. We just like cheap shit now, especially.
And that's the other thing too: cheap now or cheap forever? Because like the good desk that lasts 10 years versus 10 desks that you replace every year that are half the price.
Yeah. Yeah,
One
if you
ends
get
up
an
costing you more in the long
Amish
run.
piece of furniture, an Amish made like wood table, that thing is lasting for generations. But if you get your Temu table, it's lasting 5 months.
Yeah.
Don't assume Americans are too smart, though.
Yeah, there's that.
That fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I don't think Americans want to pay more than they have to for IKEA furniture. I don't know where IKEA furniture is made, but if it's made in was it
I think it's Polish,
Sweden.
isn't it?
Was it?
Sweden?
I thought it was Sweden. I thought it was Swedish.
Well, I know
It's
it's
a
a
Swedish.
company, but
It's
I
a
think
Swedish company, but it's manufactured globally.
Poland is like Mexico for the States. Poland is like that for Europe.
Okay.
Poland is Europe's Mexico. Got it. Okay.
Is it though? Is it? More like
According to
Greece is
Corey
from
Wayne, it
Mexico.
is. In his book.
Zing.
Oh man.
Oh, more like Greece would be our Mexico, kind of like that.
Greece doesn't do anything though. They just
Yeah, that's the
make
thing.
debt.
The Polish people, are actually very hard-working laborers. And
You're goddamn right we are.
So are Mexicans. So I mean,
Are they?
Yeah.
Do they drink a lot?
I don't see cartels coming from Poland.
I saw this stand-up. We're going off on a tangent here. I saw the stand-up comic talking about how when people are talking about the Egyptian pyramids, they're like, oh no, it had to have been aliens that built that thing. And then when you look at the pyramids built in Mexico, they're like, oh, goddamn good and well, Mexicans did that shit. They built that shit. So anyway, okay, let's see here. We've got restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. Do you think we're actually going to be able to say what we want on YouTube now?
Republicans, and this is going to go back to something else, but Republicans are only pro free speech as long as you don't criticize their special group, because there are
Which
laws
group is
on the
that, Kyle? Specifically,
it's a little state over the Middle East, and it's not Iran. Let's just say that
It's not important.
There are laws on 38 states where you can't criticize that certain country.
We need to get Archfinger in here now before this thing gets taken
now.
down.
Well,
Yeah.
it is, yeah. And Trump did sign one of those laws in 2019, but much to his credit, he does kind of want to eliminate a lot of the laws around like misinformation and stuff like that. As in, like, Facebook will label something misinformation and you'll be censored for that. So I think there's a win there. I think generally Republicans are more concerned with free speech than Democrats, but it's just when it comes to that one specific little country, they don't like people saying things about that, and particularly Kristi Noem, who signed the most aggressive and egregious legislation against that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's not entirely relevant, but it is still something.
Oh, you're talking about Jordan. Okay, yeah.
Jordan. Yeah, there is a J there.
You know what? We're okay because Cappy is like 25% chosen people.
Jordanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yes, Jordanese.
I'm about 8%. So
Okay, yeah, we're good. We're
That's
solid.
that, yeah,
there.
that's my
What's the
N-word
threshold?
pass, I
40?
guess.
We need somebody's got to have a little bit more. Come on, guys, come forward. Say it. Come forward.
My
Now's the
nose
time.
isn't that big, unfortunately.
I don't have a
Oh wow!
yarmulke
Oh
or a
wow! Now and canceled.
yarmulke.
Yeah.
I don't have a
So
yarmulke.
anti-Jordanian.
I don't believe in this anti-censorship stuff because in the last month and a half, I've been censored more on social media than I've ever been ever. Like, I got my Sydney Sweeney post demonetized and then marked for hateful.
Okay, so
speech.
but is that free speech, or is that just like we're not going to monetize this? Like, I think this is kind of why I run into an issue. Like, if you're actively being censored, as in like the post is being taken down, you're being thrown off the platform, that's one thing. But you have somebody
No, but,
like
when it gets demonetized and then marked for hateful conduct, it's not shown. It will push it down to zero. Like on the
but I mean,
yeah,
did they do that with your Sydney Sweeney post?
yes, they like literally. So the thing, what they do is that they say, hey, community notes are for facts, right? And then it got
Yeah.
community noted, and the policy is if it gets community noted, you get no money. And I'm like, well, fair, because a lot of these community notes people are women, and they got hurt because I told them that their female god is not perfect. Got it? I make sense. I know the rules, right? But then it got marked for hateful conduct, right? And I'm like, there's a lot of things being said on social media, but this is the one that gets marked for. Oh, like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, but do you think that was because it went viral and a bunch of women decided, oh no, well, Nuke is an asshole, so we're going to report this, and then it got that, or do you think that was more of like a natural thing?
I got the
I
same
think
kind
that,
of.
Well, somebody has to report it for it to get flagged. So
I,
yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
I
so
got
it
I
was
got the
just mass
same
reported.
community note thing for my Scarlett Johansson post earlier last year, and that one got community noted for rage bait. Because that I guess,
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, like I don't, I'm not entitled to money because of this post, right? But the thing is,
the reach.
the interesting thing is that they're using loopholes to get people to not say or not encourage them, right? Because now I'm like, okay, well, I'm never gonna talk about Sydney Sweeney again because I get all of the bullshit that comes from going viral, like people like hate mail, and just people
You got
saying I'm
hate
ugly.
mail?
Well,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think there needs to be like
But I get
clear.
none of the money, so I'm like, I'm never gonna talk about women being ugly again because I get zero.
Oh,
all I
God.
get is like
yeah,
shitted
like Kyle,
on, right?
let me put it this way. It's like the Pinkertons. The American government's like, yeah, we can't strike break. We can't do this. We can't do that. So they hired the Pinkertons, a private company, to do it. So now the government, no, we don't censor. But now
Yeah.
it's got this ad hoc crowdsourced tyranny of the majority doing it for them.
Yeah,
And that's why, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know who's better here with American law. Definitely not me, but there was a case that was made where if you're a private company, you're allowed to do what you want. You're a private company. But a lot of them, they're essentially government agencies, or the government's their sole source contractor. So if they're acting, then they're considered de facto government, and then free speech would apply. So if social media is trying to pretend to be the town square, it's a very good case to be made that that's great that you're allowing people here to censor others. It's great that you're giving them the tools and enabling it, but you're essentially enabling people to break federal law. Now, nobody's made that case, but I could see that one taken off. And it's Snoop, Sydney Sweeney tweet, fuck your shit posting.
Yeah.
What happens when it's some other subject that's maybe not as like goofy? What if it's talking about Jordan?
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think what a lot of people would kind of like to see is just like clear guidelines as to, like, what's acceptable on a platform or not. And I think
there is clear guidelines, right? It says opinions are not like, someone said Sydney Sweeney's, like a girl said Sydney Sweeney's boobs are not that big, and it was community noted. You see what I'm saying? Like, and she said yes, they are that big, and I'm like, this is an opinion. Like, what if you're a girl that has H cup boobs, and you're telling another girl, hey, I have H cups. That Sydney Sweeney's aren't that big, and then you get community noted because someone else who's never seen H cup boobs in real life is like, yeah, Sydney Sweeney has giant yams. It's a little weird, right? But the way I'm seeing it is that like, for example, me and Cappy, I did an interview with Cappy about a month ago, and that got limited. My last 2 streams are limited on YouTube now. Never happened, right? I got a stream taken down like midway through the stream over a thumbnail. It was an anime thumbnail of a couple, nothing sexual, and YouTube was like, it was sexual, and that's it. I'm like, I appealed, and they're like, nope, you got to do the training. And then on Instagram, I posted a story on Instagram, and I used the word ass as part of like the description, in my personal real life Instagram, and that got they took my personal story down. So I'm like, what is going on? I thought, like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon, and the thing is, like, I think what happened is they, like Ryan said, they're like pushing off the censorship to someone else, and they're making it someone else's problem. That way they can have the image of being free speech, but in reality, it's the people that decide. And I think that's genius, because assholes like me now can't say anything or make girls feel bad, so girls will come to the app. Because I think what Twitter's trying to do is get women to the app. I think it's always been like a male majority app, but now they're trying to funnel women to the app, because it's not picture based like Instagram or like YouTube, right? So girls can't, use their sexuality as much. But now they're just like, okay, well, ladies, we will stop the guys calling you ugly, but you got to come to the app, and we'll let your community know. I think that's what it is too.
You're kind of they're trying to curb
the
from
great
people's
spenders.
sensibilities.
Yeah, they're trying to make it female friendly. I think that's, and
Yeah,
I get
women
it.
are
It's
still
more money. I get it. Like I'm not mad. I'm just saying that saying a girl that's not perfect in a community note, it's just like, okay, I understand the game now. Got it. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, being an asshole is not a hangable offense.
Yeah.
Well,
Or maybe it is now.
Yeah.
I think we got through most of these. I mean, there's still quite a bit more to go. And then this was all just his first day in office. He signed a few hundred more this week.
Thing. Did we talk about the abortion thing?
Oh, what's the abortion? Oh, the abortion thing where it's like we're not going to federally pay for that anymore.
Yeah, and he also freed funding. Free pro-life activists.
This is the big one. This is the biggest one he signed. He cut federal funding to abortion. A lot of the conservative women got probably rug pulled by this, because conservative women are feminists just like everyone else. So I feel like this one was the most edgy one out of everything he signed.
Yeah, the article's in the private chat.
Okay.
The article about that is in the private chat.
And Cappy couldn't wait 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna go around the horn here. So I'm gonna drop the link to this. This is the article I was reading these off of. If you guys want to take a look at that, let's go around the horn. Final thoughts, and where can people find you online? We'll start with the legendary Ryan Stone.
Who? Well, dude, this is it right here. Look, honestly, the writing thing, I'm took a lot of work, but I'm getting pretty goddamn good at this. Praxeology Volume 3, selling like hotcakes. It's the Reader's Digest of Red Pill, not the goofy bullshit White Claw Power Hour human trafficking nonsense that your dad's Red Pill was. It's like the actual one. Guys going through field reports, building on their stories. All these guys in the audience asking, oh, I need advice. I need masculine things. Makes good again. Well, there's the stories of the guys who did it. That's how it worked. For better or for worse. Take it, learn from it. At the very least, rubberneck and see how it could have been and feel better about your life. Then, once you're done learning from the Praxeology series, there is the R.A. Stone series, starting with Fuck Files coming out on the 30th. The re-release, 3rd edition. The infamous redacted 13th chapter is in there. New covers. Dude, let me show you this. This is my old NSN stock numbered NATO certified Night Orders book. And this is the hardcover edition of Fuck Files that's out now. If you notice this, it's made with love and tender care. This is the exact same book that took me around the world, circumnavigated the globe, fought pirates, and slept with flight attendants. It's going to be great, and enjoy some nice light reading there. It's like half Jordan Peterson and half useful. And then Dog Walker's coming out, Valentine's Day. Dude, you're going to love it. Rolo and I have been bitching forever. Well, now that Trump's taken over, where's the media for men? Where's the movies for men? Where's the books for men? There you fucking go. Pre-orders are out. It's fucking awesome, and I'll see you on Valentine's Day. And then follow me on Substack, because I got a new Cyberpunk one coming out. We're going out to a couple short story magazines. You'll be able to stay in the loop on that. And, dude, high-tech, low life, Femlaw. That's all I'm going to say. Femlaw and Xanax on tap. Like, low life, man. It's a good read. You'll love it.
Let's throw it over to Thor. Thor. Hey, you're on mute.
Hear me now?
Yes.
There we go. Man, tip my hat over there to Ryan Stone with his work. He always puts out really good work. Thank you, Ryan, for inspiring The rest of us, you guys can just find me at becomedurable.com. I'm just going to post a link to something that I've been requested to do, which is post a link for how to become a power lineman. You guys want to change your careers and go out there and make 100 to 300K a year. You're not afraid of work. You can work in the cold, work in these heavy fires down here in California. You can make a lot of money with a skilled trade like becoming a power lineman. Spent 40 years doing it. It's a good career. So I'll send you a link to that video lecture. It'll give you all that you need to get started and where to go and how to get certified and where to apply for jobs. So I posted that in the chat. Have fun with it. I'll see you guys on the Dragon Ship.
All right. Nuke.
Final thoughts. Guys, this is going to be more entertainment and hope than it is actual policies affecting your life. So enjoy the show. Nothing's really going to change. I guess assume nothing's going to change. It could, but keep doing what you're doing and yeah, have fun. This is going to be a fun term. It's going to be very fun. So you guys, I posted my Gumroad course on improving your fashion and my Substacks in the chat too. So thank you.
All right. Kyle, thanks for joining us today, man. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys having me on. Hopefully I'm welcome back. But to throw a tip of the hat to our friend Rob, nothing has changed for you. But anyways, yeah, you can find me Kamatovic on Twitter. Last name is spelled Matovcik. That's where I'm most active. My band's called A Common Crown, and we have a whole bunch of new songs in the works. If you're in the southwestern Pennsylvania area, feel free to come check us out. We're opening for a bunch of bigger bands, and it's going to be a good year for us. In Liberty and Health podcast, normally do it once or twice a week. Tomorrow we'll have a Sunday coffee, and we'll be on Post Zero as well. And yeah, I think that's about it for me. Thanks, guys.
All right. Jack Napier.
Hello. New Substack is out, released this morning, about the dreaded friend zone. You'd think we didn't have to talk about this anymore, but I keep seeing it at the gym every day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw my 2 cents in the ring about it. So that one released this morning. Did a show with Kyle and Rob last night. That was a lot of fun. So please go check that out on my channel. And that's it. Actually, 4 more years. 4 more years, boys. It's going to be hilarious.
Should be interesting anyway. All right. Let's see. What do I got going on? I go tune into the Dragon Ship after this. Huds is hosting. He wants to do it on how it's always men's faults. And I think he's leading off with how Kamala Harris, I guess, was in the news saying how the reason why she didn't win the election is because of her husband. Her husband, it's his fault. God damn it. So we're going to talk about how it's always men's fault. Tune into my podcast on Monday. I found 2 interesting articles in the Red Pill archive, plus one old Rolo post from 2013 that basically talks about attachment styles and how it's all bullshit. And it really, you're working on your own SMV is more important than worrying about your girl's attachment style. So that should be a good show on Monday. Tune in for that. Get my book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. If you guys didn't know, Aaron Clary did a review on it this week and he fucking hated it. Absolutely hated it. And one of the number one reason why he said he hated it was because I was right. So check that out. And other than that, thanks for joining us today. And we'll see you guys next week on Rule Zero.
This has been Rule Zero. New episodes every Saturday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Subscribe now.